So now I want to kind of give you an idea of this. This is how we view our interaction with these observatories and assets and how we're communicating to the users what they can do to propose to those. So we have different types of field campaigns. We have a year-round submission for guest instruments at our fixed or our long-term sites, modification of instrument operation or particular focus periods. If you happen to find out there is another agency or another activity that has an intensive operating period, proposing ARM's participation in that might not be a large effort. That could be a year-round submission. And then high performance computing clusters and our ability to offer those that can be proposed year round. ARM rarely says no, to be honest. If we need to say no, we will. But if you look in the upper right there, you see the Pine instrument. That started out at SGP, and there was no way that Pine instrument was ever going to go to any mobile deployment until it got reconfigured. But it was version 0 or 1 that came to SGP. And Haruki worked on that, changed the form factor of it. Obviously, it barely fits in there, but if we can find a way, we do find a way. In the bottom left, this was a larger field campaign that involved a lot of different landowners right around the Southern Great Plains site to be coordinated. Sometimes the PI will coordinate those things, sometimes ARM does. It's highly dependent on every field campaign being a little bit different. Our specific calls for field campaigns are typically annually, and that would be for our mobile facility 1 and 2 and where it's going to move. They are in a deployment from 6 months to 2 years. The ARM aerial facility call is annual, and our ARM EMSL FICUS call for the tethered balloon system has been annual as well. And so you'll see the EMSL timeline on the right. This is how we interact with the users for the ARM EMSL FICUS call, and then we load up an associated ARM field campaign to manage that in the background and communicate with EMSL so the PI isn't having to do double duty to work with both facilities. We try to make it very straightforward. This is a view of our ARM campaign webpage. It has changed a little bit, so this may look a little different to some of you. The requirements to get a proposal reviewed is the proposal itself and instrument support request. So there's a bunch of resources over on the right, and those are links to information about the field campaigns, the guidelines, the missions, the things that are going to make you successful if you look into these things. Those key things are submit on time, read the instructions for the specific call and the guidelines, align with the ARM mission and the DOE goals, and communicate with ARM. Ask us, don't assume, ask us. We definitely want to help you be successful, not only at what you're proposing, but we don't want you to waste your time either in proposing something that we cannot support or no, we can't do. The details over in these links, there's proposal deadlines. We also have a deadline. You can put a proposal date in and see. You can talk to us and ask. Lots of different ways. The field campaign guidelines, these have guidelines that give you the template of if you're going to need an abbreviated proposal or a full proposal, what will include that. An abbreviated proposal is a maximum of 12 pages. The effort for the PI is scaled by the cost and size of the effort for ARM. So a singular guest instrument, you have the single pre-proposal and your single ISR, and that's all you need to provide to us other than communication. If it's going to be a tethered balloon system proposal that needs to go out for scientific review, you're going to do an abbreviated proposal that, again, I said, this 12-page long one. If it's going to be moving an observatory, we're going to need the full proposal that goes along with it, and we will send those out for scientific review. Each campaign announcement has a ton of information in it. We try to do our best to link to all the things that we can to make it as straightforward for the PI to find what they need to find and have the critical information, particularly if there's anything that's changed or something's a little bit odd. But as you can see in this call, we're linking to the tethered balloon information. We're linking to EMSL's information, the FICUS information, specifics about Bankhead National Forest and Courage, which were associated with this particular call. On the right, you can see where we're putting the dates in the call, trying to make sure everybody is on the same page about what needs to be done. We try to be extremely upfront with our principal investigators about what is expected from them. We put our code of conduct up front. We really do expect you to follow this, and we follow this, and this makes a happy environment and very fruitful and productive environment for us all to work in. You're going to be required to provide an abstract if you have an awarded proposal. This allows us to have you put your information about what this is about out to users on the campaign webpage. If your proposal requires a science plan, you will be required to provide that to us. And if you have a guest instrument, you're required to submit the data within 6 months after the field campaign. The final report, same thing, 6 months after the field campaign. Those are required. They are auditable. So we will hound you until you provide them to us. And if you refuse to provide them to us, then you will no longer be allowed to work with ARM until you comply with those things. So these are things we honed over the years. We try to put it up front. And again, we tell you here also how to acknowledge ARM. So just letting people know before they ever get involved what's expected and being straightforward about this. We also give you some special considerations. We noted before, there's lots of flexibility in our unmanned aerial system activities, in specific campaigns. So we try to give you some special considerations on our website that are specific to these to help you learn and answer some questions up front. We continue to hone this. We're hoping to get to AI-driven things with our website to help you. So we're still always continuously trying to improve the information that we're providing. This is the proposal field campaign form. And on the left, the blue, you can see there what we're asking you and in what order. On the right of each of the submission sections, we're trying to give you just enough information to help you understand why we're asking you that and or what to provide. So look for those announcements, understand your expectations, and then come here and look at this proposal form. And so we're asking you who you are, who your co-investigators are, what you want to do. Please suggest an acronym. We know we may need to change it. We will check that. We don't want to put anything out there that's copyrighted or inappropriate in English, that sort of thing. Does happen. It's usually very nuanced. When do you want to do this? Which observatory do you want to do this at? What is your scientific focus? What is the relevance? Again, to the ARM mission and decadal vision, they're linked right there. So the PI can say, oh yeah, I need to do that. Let me go read those. Let me make sure I can align that well. Then what is your plan? How do you want to go about what you're proposing here? What resources do you need that we need to provide to you? And then down to instrumentation. What are the critical instruments that ARM needs to provide that you want to make sure during an intensive operating period, we're not bringing those down for repair or calibration if we don't have to? Tell us what's critical. And then list your guest instruments. And with that guest instrument, I don't know if you can all see my cursor, but this instrument support request I'm going to come back to in a second. And this is a critical requirement for us to review your campaign. Without this, we have no idea what you're actually bringing. And you'd be amazed at how surprised we get sometimes when people say, oh, I'm bringing this instrument, and what they show up with. So we need to know that we can power it. We have the space for it. And it doesn't have a hazard that conflicts with something else or that we can't support. The one I flipped over just briefly there, the aircraft. If you have a non-ARM aerial asset, you will be required to do an aviation safety plan. So that is a longer lead time item. We show you here what it is. We want to know that up front so we can get that process started as soon as possible so there's no hitches in getting towards the success of this campaign. We want to know funding. If your funding is proposed to ASR or ESS or NSF, or if it's already secured. So this does not hinder the review. This actually helps the review. And we can approve things contingent upon that funding so that we're out of the way, that if it's funded, everything is in line. Yes, we're going to go. We've agreed we will do this if it is funded. So if this is associated with an ASR call or an ESS call, the good news there is we will provide a logistical review. We will provide that information to ASR and ESS, and then they do their scientific peer reviews. And those are coordinated together, and the PI does not need to coordinate any piece of that review part. So if one is funded, they're both funded, and on we go. We do have the rare occasion there is another agency or group that needs to do something that's proprietary. It's very rare, but we do have that option here. And then again, we're putting you on notice with this agreement that we expect you to know what those expectations are for the final report, the guest instrument, the code of conduct. Again, for the guest instrument support requests, this is something that we go back and forth with regularly with PIs. We need to know each instrument you're bringing. We're trying to make it as efficient as possible to figure out and being able to make it repeatable and different things like that. But we're really getting at what is your instrument, what's its size, its dimensions, what is available or what is needed for shipping, receiving, handling. Do we need a forklift to get it off the truck? Does it have a laser? Is there any requirements or radiological sources, chemicals, different things that, and then the discussion of, are you providing that? Are we providing it? How is it handled? Do we have it already included in the safety plan? Are you bringing a specific safety plan that then we need to review and incorporate? So all of these things needed to be disclosed up front. And this form is really just simply meant to catch those things. If you don't have a laser, you click no, this section never opens. So it's only as complex as the instrument operations is complex. And with everything that we say, from the observatories to the instruments to the field campaigns, if you have a question, please go to the bottom of any ARM webpage. And down there's a little help button. Please use that help button, click it. Do your best to decide which of these apply to it. If you're wrong, we can reroute it. So don't let that deter you. But for campaigns and accessing ARM facilities, if you click that, this will route an incident to those of us who can answer those questions for you. If you're having trouble finding ARM data that Jim mentioned earlier in the data discovery, go click this, say, I'm having trouble with this data. We'll get someone to help walk you through that and find out what's wrong with it. Maybe it's missing. Maybe we don't know there's a problem. Again, instruments and VAPs, you can ask questions about those, availability, any questions you have on them. If you see a data quality issue that we might not know of, please let us know. That's this report data quality issue. We want to know if you think something looks wrong, because we have terabytes of data flowing a day. We have so many people, we can only manually look at that. We are incorporating some AI identification things, but nothing is perfect. So if you see something, please tell us. We may not know. And if we do, we would love to just say, yes, we know about it. And you might be the expertise we need in helping resolve that problem. You just never know. So please use this as much as you can. We will get your questions answered and share that. One of the things I wanted to put up here, just for kind of discussion purposes, is the complexity of the ARM field campaign process is truly geared at trying to not overburden the PI. So at the very top there, if you have something that's very small, you need to submit it 1.5 months ahead of the IMB decision. And we need to make that decision 1 month before the campaign starts. Simple as that. Then if it's, requires the TBS or UAS, that second line, you submit the abbreviated proposal. So this is not out there publicly at the moment, but I'm trying to work on things like this to communicate. And I would like your feedback if you guys think these types of flow charts or processes, we have to have this in order to know how much time each thing takes. But is this a useful thing? And since you're our UEC, I feel like it's a good group to ask those things with. What makes sense about it, what doesn't, and what other questions do you have?